Cool, right. All right, put that in your, I haven't heard from you yet.
Are you?
You may not want to get into the interdivisional issues.
You don't have to be.
Good.
No, you're okay. It's as small as it is, so you're fine.
Turn the camera. I mean, I can tilt it that way, Pete, if one of you. wanna
It's
make
up to you.
sure-
You're also picked up on the owl, so
Oh, good, okay.
you're fine.
Oh, so I don't even need to have this, oh, wait, actually I do in case somebody asks questions or whatever,
If you want to see it, yeah.
but then that's gonna be yours.
Eileen, congratulations on your victory.
Thank you very much.
It was a tough race.
Danny Ainge did get a couple of votes from me, darn it. All right, so if we are good to go, I will pick things off here. All right, welcome, good evening. Tonight is Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. This meeting, it's a select board meeting, excuse me. This meeting will be held in hybrid format. The select board will attend in person. We're down here in the warrant room if anybody is wondering where we are. Members of the public may attend in person. In addition, members of the public who wish to participate via Zoom may do so by joining. You can go to the town website, hit today's calendar date being April 1st, go to the select board meeting. You will see the Zoom link for our meeting. If you don't have access to a computer, there is a dial-in number that's available as well. You can click on the document center and read some of the fine documents we'll be covering this evening. But as always, I want to make sure that everyone's aware that we are recording this meeting, video recording. And certainly want to take a moment of appreciation for our troops around the globe in defense of our country. Well, thank you. All right, and at this time, I'm going to suggest that it is that time of the year after the town election. It is time to reorganize the select board. Do I have support on that?
I would move that Gustav Murphy be chair of the board.
No, this is April Fool's. You're serious, right? Want to make sure. I second that.
No citizens comment?
Save me, Bill.
So, do you want to make a motion that we reorganize and elect Gustav Murphy as the new chair of the select board?
That's more or less what I just did.
Okay, and I will go with, I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. All right. All yours, my friend.
All right. Well, I just want to point out that this is the absolute most complicated link, agenda for anybody in terms of trying to figure out what link you have to be on. So I think you were all wise to just physically show up and not have to worry about the instructions. All right, I guess the real challenge here is, can we get through everything so that when we adjourn
You
go
gotta
upstairs?
vote secretary too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We can do. Every year I say I should watch the video again. So let's see, I move that we appoint Pete Peterson as the clerk, of the select board.
All right, I second that.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, and then the third member, I think you just get to be the third member.
That works.
Move that-
Now that I know this game, I'd like to sit in that chair.
I moved that we give Eileen a year off where all she has to do is second things. It's the best thing, just sit there and don't do anything. That's right. Thank you, Mark. Let's see. I think we're ready. The first appointment we have is Russ Halsey on behalf of Memo to request the following: permission to use Warrior Park and gazebo for the summer concert series on Thursdays from June 12th through August 14th. Hang a banner announcing the summer concert series across the main street from around June 8th through the last concert. Get permission to hold Discover Medfield. Do we need to do these separately because there's
say-
the summer series and?
I would do them separately because I think this is,
Okay,
I haven't.
yeah, so
determined the hang banner.
let's do the first two, because that's the summer concerts, and then we'll do the Medfield Day after that.
Okay. The hang banner, do we have authority or approval from?
We currently do not have authority from Eversource to hang the banner over the street, so we're working on that.
Okay, so it's in the works.
We're trying, I can't guarantee it's gonna be
They're
done.
communicating with you?
Yes.
You still need to give them the authority subject to that.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
That would be better, yeah.
We can have a, well, we're not ready to
You
go
do
yet.
control the streets and their use.
So Eileen, any comments?
I just wanted to confirm, I had, when I saw this on the agenda, I knew that there was somebody else who wanted to do a banner in the last couple of months, and that was a concern that we didn't have access.
And then it was, or Pete, questions?
Pete?
No questions.
And that was the same issue I had, whether we could do that. So I guess what we'll do is approve it contingent upon getting Eversource's approval to hang banners at all.
Okay.
So get a motion.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And as I attach on my request, there's a letter that I always do, asking you to sign for our files. Thanks, which I pick up later.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks.
Do that. Next one's, memos requesting permission to hold Discover Medfield Day on Saturday, September 27th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the new location of the Memorial Dale campus. It was also requesting a common vittler license for Discover Medfield Day. And once again, asking to hang a banner announcing Discover Medfield Day across Main Street from around August 17th through Discover Medfield Day. So I'm sure the banner will be there.
Is there a rain date? No rain date. Point of, no, we tried a rain date. We always used to say rain date. People always sign saying, yes, we'll be there if there's a rain date. We tried it one year. Half the people didn't show up and it just didn't make sense. So from then on, we stopped. Okay. Saying that. So no rain dates.
Certainly,
Comments?
so is this locked and loaded?
Well, I don't know what that means, but
Because when I read this, I was like, why would we not have it downtown? It's for the Medfield
oh, well, the
merchants.
reason is because Montrose is not giving us permission to use their parking lot. They're in the process of going through renovations on their fields and their parking lots, and I don't know if the buildings are also part of that. But they said, since we can't guarantee you have the space in September, and we don't know when we're gonna be finished, we don't want to even give you the option of saying, you know, you can plan on it if it's available. They wanted it from the beginning that it was not gonna be available. So what that meant was we couldn't have rides downtown. We'd have to go without rides.
So I have to give you my gut response. I hate the idea of this, from being very candid, because when I think of Medfield Day, I understand that that's for young kids. But Medfield Day, the way it wraps around Medfield, right? You have anyone coming from the south, 109 from like South Street and that side of town, they tend to park on that side of 109 and they walk through the center of town. You get people going to the library, you get people to engage with the center of town. And we also disperse all the parking, so it's not all in one neighborhood. Has anyone even spoken to the neighbors near Dale and Memorial to say, hey, on this day, you're gonna be wildly invaded on a street that has no sidewalks. And unless there's a lot of work on parking, people are gonna be double parking up and down that road. Whereas, you know, today when you think about Medfield Day, everybody comes into the center of town, they're spreading out, you've got Baxter Pond. If it should rain, which we've had a couple of rainy, most, like I would say 90% of the booths are on pavement, so you're not walking on wet, muddy ground. It just, even if it's not an ideal day, when you are in downtown, it just seems to have a better flow, and you have the parking lot where they let the high school athletics do their thing, and sometimes, you know, not being on grass would not be ideal. Being on pavement is better for what they're offering on their booths. So when I first read this, I was like, I understand you raise money with those tickets, but could there be a more creative idea put on the table to raise money targeting the young kids? But man, when you walk through Medfield Day, it's a lot of older people that I question, will you not get visitors? Because it's no longer that day where you can stroll through town, you can spread yourself out around town.
You brought a lot of issues out. I hope I can remember them all. As far as the mud, right? I was over there today, we were measuring the field to see if everything would fit. Everything would fit in that one field between the two buildings.
The whole, it would all be on the grass.
The booths, the exhibitors, the rides, the food court, the entertainment stage, everything would fit in that one location. Parking was full on Adams Street this morning when we went over to look. They all park off the road on the grass between the street and the sidewalk. So they were all off the road. 2 lanes of traffic would be able to go back and forth. The field is grassed to such an extent that there wouldn't be any mud if it was a rainy time.
Well, that's kind of a broad, we could have a week of rain beforehand and then that one day, I mean,
You could also have it on the grass that's where the food court is and the exhibitors are behind the church.
but of all of when I think of Medfield Day, 90% of it is you come down North Street, all those booths, you wrap around the Baxter, all those booths. And you've got all of the fundraising for the schools and whatever in the parking lots. So, and then like, if I parked, cause I did the Read Across America at Dale Street. You have a minimal number of people. You're asking, the crowds that come for Medfield Day. All of those people are gonna have to be parking along that stretch and then walking along that stretch where there's no dedicated sidewalk. It's somewhat of a bend when you start, there's no way all those cars are gonna fit in the parking lot. So you're gonna have people all the way down Adams, you're gonna go down Dale. To me, it's just for 1 year, where you may not have the ability to have the kiddie area. You're changing everything for that one area.
The kiddie area is half of Melrose budget, right?
Are you
It's not.
Are you
it's not
also
insignificant
talking about
money.
the school property? Is this
We're gonna-
physically on the school property?
It's on the field.
Because the schools have key custody control.
We've already gotten their approval.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I had a conversation with Dr. Marsden and Ross Francesco, I think it is, he's director of operations.
Right.
And I told him, my situation. I said, I think a school campus would be great to be location. We went through them all, high school, middle school versus Wheelock versus Memorial Dale. And he said, the other 2 schools would not be appropriate. You have too much sports going on at the middle school, high school area during the week and Saturday, that's off limits. Wheelock, you got a problem, you've got absolutely no parking down there. And neighborhood parking, neighbors get really upset down there and really vocal. And they said, the Dale Street, Memorial Street campus makes so much sense. They don't have a problem with the Dale Street, the Adams Street parking, because they have a lot of activities there all year round. They have sports going on, and so those streets are used. And I told them we wouldn't have parking on the neighbor's side. We would only do parking on the school side. And as I told you today, everybody in there parks off campus. The amount of parking that is available on the site of Medfield Day in the center of town. Probably have to catch my breath. That's available is the Brook Street parking lot that Montrose has. That's available for people to use. The James Ave parking lot. Other than that, people have to find spots all around the side streets, and which they do. Same thing's gonna happen here. We're gonna offer, if not more, on campus parking with both sides of Memorial. And the little parking lot that's between the Dale Street and Pfaff Center, there's a small parking lot there. And again, on Adams Street, there'll be a lot of parking. And then other people, they're either gonna walk. There's still a lot of neighborhoods where people are gonna walk from, just like, down in the normal place. And they'll find parking spots, around, they do.
I just voiced my concern. I mean,
Yeah.
because there really aren't a lot of sidewalks. Once you go past the Adams, the Dale Street stretch, you're now talking all the way down Adams Street. There's no parking on either side, and you can't really go up on the curb there or even up on the edge because you're going on people's
There is
property.
a sidewalk on the school side.
Right.
Until you get to Memorial, then it stops. And I think that where I'm just thinking, I'm wrestling with, I see how big the crowd is that it goes to Medfield Day. And to your point, Russ, it kind of disperses because it is the center of town. So you can come from all different angles. Now you're having people cross 109 to have to go and park down near Dale and Memorial. And you're not using all of these side streets that you see here that a lot of people take advantage of. So I'm just putting it out there for, it's
You
food
won't
for
need to
thought.
close any streets like you do in the original location. None of the streets will need to be closed unless the police chief, they feels that something does, maybe Dale Street.
I'm just afraid people won't even end up going, because now you're in the corner, out of the center of town.
For the rides?
No, it wouldn't fit in there and I'd have to lose 20 or so booths.
Yeah, but you can move those somewhere else.
Where-
Like, for
where-
somebody who cheered
I don't-
Medfield
I
Day
don't
for
have-
many years.
Yeah, I've used up all my space in that area with adding booths. I can't add any more booths there.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking it'd be easier to find, incrementally to move booths somewhere else and use McCready's whole parking.
Where would you go? Where would you move them? There's no place to move them.
Is it, may I?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Sure.
Is it possible, I'm sure you thought of this, but is it possible to move the rides, the children's area to Meeting House Pond? And the park behind Meeting House Pond, where you have the stage and some booths and the food? Could you move, would that be large enough just for the children's area? Then ask Dwight Derby House if you can use their side yard for the food booths. And could you put the stage across North Street? And then you'd still have the same area. The kids would be in a separate area, which is accessible. White Derby doesn't use the side yard, and it's fairly large, and there's a patio back there too, that would possibly. That could hold this, usually you have some tables for seating. I'm sure they'd let, I can't see them saying no to that. But you'd be able to put all the food over in that side, and then you would have some booths that go across the side, but seems to me we could. Or you could stick them somewhere.
So my reaction,
We're
guys,
gonna put all the exhibitors that are on the grass area behind there.
They're
Where are they gonna go?
They're not small 10 by 10s.
so my reaction is that this is your event to plan how you want, and then the town just reacts, so we don't dictate to you how to do it. You do it, you ask for permission, we either say yes or no. But as Laura was suggesting about other places to put things, I spent a lot of time at the Energy Committee booth, which is right at the end, in front of it's right next to the China Sales Restaurant. And usually there's nothing going on in that whole little area down to 109, so I don't know if you could grab space there.
In North Street?
Yeah, North Street down from
I don't think you want
James
to
down
close-
to.
I don't think we'd wanna close North Street. I don't think the businesses would like that, in particular Larkins.
I know that when there was an eyeglass store that was right in that area. She didn't like it because she lost business on it.
Honestly, I put a lot of thought into this. All due respect. This is really the only solution to our problem.
Can I test just one more?
Yeah,
Because the problem you have is the kids area. Is normally at Montrose. And the discussions around things to do here involve a lot of people moving to somewhere other than where it normally would. Eileen, I think this is probably more a memo issue than anything else, that to the extent that downtown businesses like the idea of Medfield Day being where we're close, so that everybody that comes in for Medfield Day is close to their businesses. Is it possible to consider pulling the stuff out of Montrose, which is the kiddie stuff, putting that up at Memorial Dale,
well,
leaving everything else the way it's always been
I
done?
thought about that, but
Separating
I
the
thought-
parents from their children.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
leave them all.
distance where they have to walk.
The parents will take their children to the kids alley and ignore all the booths. Or you'll have people, a lot of people come to the booths here and just let their kids go over to the kids alley, because it's kind of.
Really?
Kind of close.
Almost refreshing to hear parents who are actually doing that with their kids.
I just hope, like, what I feel bad is, I just think you're gonna get half a shine. I just think that the whole lure of being in downtown, it draws people in. If you're off the beaten path and people aren't aware of it. I mean, it's your call, and if it's a colossal disaster, because it's no longer the vibe of downtown Medfield, and you'll have 21 North open, and to your point, people will park in Larkin, pop into Larkins, they'll pop into the pizza place, Brothers gets good foot traffic. All of that in theory goes away, or people just don't make the effort to go over, which would be really detrimental to what Medfield Day stands for. It's about downtown. I mean, if it wasn't ever meant to be downtown, it would have been put somewhere else to begin with, but it's for the whole vibe of, it's Memo, right? It's the merchants of Medfield. They're not over at Dale and Memorial. So, I just voicing it because I don't want to see it be.
Russ, you were gonna say something, you got cut off, what were you gonna say?
In response to what?
I think it's when I threw out the idea of moving the kids' stuff to Dale and Memorial.
Oh, yeah, we thought about that, and we just felt that was the wrong decision to separate them that distance.
Because,
What David said, as far as you're probably gonna split up who goes where. And, it's not gonna be an easy, convenient walk from the food court, area to that up Vinyl Road, up Adams Street, it's a long walk. To do that, I think it would be counterproductive, and to some extent, still have some of the issues that you had there before, you're complaining about, not complaining, you're raising the issue. You may have less people walking. I don't think so. It's still a downtown area. There's still a lot of neighborhoods around. People will still walk as opposed to driving. You're gonna have people parking on Adams Street. And you could have muddy area if it's rainy. You got all those same issues, and it's so separated that it's now become two operations. And for me to oversee it, now I've got to, before I just used to cross North Street to check it out. And now David, who's becoming my second-hand person on this, it was just across the street. Now I've got to walk up how many blocks to go check out how they're doing or deal with a problem. It didn't make any sense to us to separate it that much. And to be honest with you, to combine everything into one area seems to be so much better, because now you've got the one field that's gonna have all the things going on right there. Easy for everybody to get to.
Have you looked at the number count that you've had over the years and how you're able to spread that all out? Now you're taking all of those people in theory, I mean, my gut says you're gonna probably get half the people, so it won't be the problem. But today, when you walk, you can see the mass of people. You're not gonna have all of that surface area to have people roam. Now you're cramming everybody into a box.
I think everybody will be there from last year. We may even allow extras to be there because we can add booths now because we have more space.
Hey,
Let me ask you this question. It's just me, the engineer, looking for solutions. Would the town be willing to shut some other streets?
Or to that point, what about the parking lot behind this building and even over there as well?
I think that would be, I don't understand why we wouldn't do that. That's-
Completely.
Yeah, shut up North Street. Let the ride fill in those places.
Shut down James
That's-
Avenue.
looking at
That's
stuff.
as close as it is now.
Well, it's right there. Instead of being in the middle, it's.
So you're saying put the rides in James Ave parking lot and James Ave?
Or right behind town hall, whatever you need between the parking lot across the street, across James, the one behind this building, and shut off James Avenue.
But if we shut down north, it's from 10 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. The retailers aren't being told to close down.
North
Just,
partially shut, has always been partially shut.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, you can't get past the
Well,
basement
what-
21
what-
north.
what
James
days?
Ave, yeah.
Yeah, so now what we're basically saying is you can't, that little cluster where Larkins is, just basically that just becomes part of, for this year.
Right.
I think that's fine. I mean,
And some of those places like Go Fresh.
they'll be.
They're
fine.
parking.
Got
they-
his stuff
they
out
market
there anyway,
with it,
you know,
And it was-
there's no parking, he takes and sets up tables and all that for people to, as they go by, grab something.
Is there anything preventing us from doing that, Christie?
I think you're gonna talk to the police chief, but I don't see.
I mean, I know, I spoke with her for a while yesterday because when I first read this, I was just like, there's so many things that concern me with how condensed that's all gonna be. Even though I know you're saying it's a field, you cram everybody in versus today, everybody spreads out. And it's not, you don't feel so overwhelmed because you look across at Baxter, you look at, and there's a lot of people there in that one cluster where North and, and Ferry Street meet. That gets crazy crowded, because again, Sand turns to where the little kids are. So if, I mean, I would not be opposed to having this section air, that shut off and then over here opened up. And if, who owns all the parking? So if you were to go down James Ave and then you have the Montrose School right there, could all of that be cleared out for the day? Could we have no parking for basically 24 hours in there?
You mean next to the avenue, that parking lot to the left of it?
Well, the parking, the behind Avenue, but then even go a little bit further where there's that little building in the corner. It's almost as you're about to enter the Montrose parking lot.
That's all owned by Montrose.
That's owned by Mon,
That
I
we
mean,
have
if
to
we
have a
ask them,
discussion with
because that's not gonna be part of their construction. The construction's gonna be the backside of that fence.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth having the discussion with
Yeah,
them.
I mean, we do have the issue with, we have neighbors whose only parking is the street parking on James Avenue, so we would have to have a conversation with them, similar, she would have had that with the neighbors on Dale Street, so.
You know, somebody brought up about the rain if it came during the week. I don't know if everybody here is familiar what happens to that field.
Oh,
The
it's
torrential, you go canoeing in it, the water, I've seen it this deep.
over at,
So if we got a week of rain, it's not mud I'm worried about, it's, you're gonna have standing water.
Yeah.
The drain isn't big enough to get it out of there.
That's the field at Memorial.
The Memorial Dale, Timmy lives across the street and, I mean, the water that comes out of there, it's.
Willis
Tremendous.
Legion, who lives on that street, came in, last week or the week before and was concerned about that as well.
Yeah, and I mean, you go canoeing, literally, you could, I'm not kidding.
When's the
When it
next
floods.
one?
and that's where it's nice, if we're standing on cement, even if it rains, a couple years ago, it was raining in the morning.
You get the curbs.
2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
You know, I think at the end of we're having a discussion about what you should do. But at the end of that discussion, I think I agree with Pete. Our job is to listen to what you want to do. And as long as you're not as long as you're not jeopardizing safety or you're not jeopardizing town property, I don't think it's our job to tell you how this should work. I look at this and say the bigger issue I think you would face is if you move all the people from Medfield Day off of downtown, I would think it would be the members of Memo that would be kind of upset about not getting the flow. That's an issue for you all to deal with.
You mean these businesses here?
Yeah, and you obviously have
In the
an
library.
issue, yeah, and if you're gonna have it sounds like if you're gonna have a kiddie area. In a sense, you want it not necessarily to be like high fence contained, but you want it to have its own identity. So, that's just something you gotta sort of figure out. I think. From our standpoint, if there's from a public safety standpoint, if there's an acceptable way for us to reconfigure which roads are closed. That gives you actually more space because the road's closed. I think I'd be happy to entertain that kind of an idea. Martin?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask whether you were potentially interested in the parking lots and closure scenario. In which case I would suggest this be put over and give you an opportunity to explore that further and talk to anyone else that's not a interest. Like the police chief that's not involved here and then come back April 15th, it's still well in advance of.
And
Well,
I'm
part of
wondering
it
if
is
you
I
could-
need, I really wanted to get approval tonight for the date. I was hoping for the location as well, and then deal with all these issues with the various departments, because I have to start moving with all my vendors, my.
I can just tell you anecdotally, there's been a lot of attempts to replicate Medfield Day in other communities, Medway in particular. And they've never been able to do so, and it's because it's always been a destination thing at the middle school. And yeah, they get some people, but nothing to compare to what Medfield Day, and you don't get the synergy that you get from the existing infrastructure, buildings, whatever. I think that,
Westwood's the same thing.
Yeah.
I've been there. Westwood's the same thing.
So using James Ave, we wouldn't be able to use James Ave on the slope from Main Street down to the corner. That would not be usable space for us. We can go check what kind of space there is on James Ave to north. I don't think I can put rides on North Street from Janes to Maine, because they have to be delivered the night before.
We've got two parking lots we're talking about, making.
So we're not gonna use North Street for rides, those booths. Well, would we have those for booths?
Yeah, probably even maybe the slope on James Avenue.
So they-
needed it.
Yeah, I think some of the high school kids, some of those things, are just
So,
goofy things they do that they could do there.
I'll go out and I'll check out what the Janes Ave parking lot and Janes Ave and North Street will give us. But what I would like tonight is at least to have the date be allowed, so I can confirm that with everybody. Of course, the banner subject to,
Mhm.
and maybe your approval of my using the school property with the proviso that we will look around for, as I just said, the Janes Ave and see if that can allow us to stay here.
Russ, the select board has no control over school property.
No, I already have permission.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we can't do anything about
And we
that.
don't have any public safety issues, because I
Okay.
think whether we have control or not, we step in, but I don't think we have any public safety.
Okay,
issues.
great. So that's great. I've
Or if there
already-
were an admission fee or something being charged, and that would trigger a separate statute, that was how we exercise control over the John Smith soccer tournament.
Okay. We
But they're
charge
not,
it.
obviously, it's free.
Okay, so as I'm clear, you're okay? You don't have any issue with the school property because that's their jurisdiction and they've already given it to me. You're okay with me going forward with the police, the fire, the highway and the school on working out all kinds of issues with that? Like, for instance, if there's an issue with parking on Adam Street, the police chief would have that on her mind. And we would work something out. If she has any other issues, highway, same thing. So I'm going forward with that.
Are you gonna ask the neighbors, are you gonna send anything out to that neighborhood to let them know that this is a significant, if you go that route? Because I agree with what Pete said, I'm not here to shut this down, I just was asking questions. So I would just wanna make sure that the neighbors are aware of what may come upon them on Saturday, September 26th or whatever, because that's not a small high school performance or elementary school performance. This is, if you want it to be as successful as it is when it's normally downtown, that's from 10 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon, nonstop on their street. Something they've never experienced before.
I mean, I'd be happy to go ahead and do that, sending out a letter and letting them know we're gonna put no parking signs on their side of the street.
I think they're already there, we just add more if you want. Is there any?
It would be a good thing to, Richard DeSerga called it the good neighbor policy, just put a leaflet at every house to tell them what you're thinking of doing.
Because to what Pete said earlier, like, we're not here to tell you not to do it there, but I definitely want to make sure that from a select board standpoint, if residents say, how did you let it happen? Like, whoa, it's not our call. We asked all these questions. We expressed concern for the neighbors. We expressed concern for the memo members that, we understand all of the positivity that Medfield Day has. What I really don't want to see, I don't want to sit here in a year and be like, wow, you lost momentum in every year thereafter. So it's 2035 and someone goes, remember when they were really successful? Well, that one year, like, how did Kodak lose all their money back then? Because they let Fuji sneak in during an Olympics and literally Kodak lost a ton of momentum, never got it back from an advertising standpoint. Don't want to lose momentum. Medfield Day is a big day. And like, we definitely don't want to try to lose any momentum.
Russ, are we losing the parking lot at Montrose too?
Oh, yes.
It's 150 cars,
So when you say the parking lot, the one off of Brookside,
Brook Street,
Brook Street,
it's about 150 cars of space.
All right, so that won't be.
So it's not just opening up some streets to move rides around, it's
You
also
might
now there's more
also,
parking.
my building, the
pressure.
Medfield Professional Building over on North Meadows, you could approach. Most of those, nobody's open on Saturday anyway, so you may be willing to let you.
That's
I
so
do-
far away that I think if people want to park there, they'll just go park there.
They do, I think people do.
Like
this part
CVS
where
is
they can
another
get
spot
away.
they might want to go to.
Yeah.
People find spaces for
Yeah.
40 years, we've been doing this.
And they come and go, it's not like they stay the whole time.
but it's, what I do see is a divide, like 109 is that happy divide. You park on this side of 109, you're coming from the other side of town. and then you park on, around here if you're coming from the Harding side. If you pull it all to Dale and Memorial, it just changes that dynamic. That's all I'm getting at. And again, I'm not here to say no to that. I threw the conversation out there.
Yeah.
I just want success. I
Well, I'm glad it's suggestive and not
mandated. No.
mandated. I appreciate that.
The avenue. This stops at what, 4 o'clock, is it?
Yeah, they open right around 4.
So you probably would have to talk to them because their parking lot might not be accessible at 4.
They don't have a.
You mean the
parking lot.
town's parking lot?
Yeah, they don't own it, I don't think.
Oh, okay, I thought a little bit
Yeah.
was.
The only spots that are owned
They
back
have
there,
a
I believe,
license
are,
to use the town.
410.
We do have some neighbors
Talk to
around.
Starbucks.
And we do have some neighbors who will be impacted by that we'll have to talk to, if that's the case around here.
This is the.
The only
That's
parking
all right.
spots behind
Oh,
Avenue
says
that
it's
are
ours.
owned are the ones that
Right from the
the
picture, he
graffiti
says that's all
outside that
town.
building.
Yeah, he owns all the,
Parking
yeah.
up here. This is the town hall.
Yeah, there are people that rent on James Ave there.
Because-
Yes.
Let me take stock here. I'm not sure.
That makes sense.
I think we've
have two
exhausted
areas
the
here.
discussion. What I think we're saying is
But
we're prepared to certainly approve the idea that Medfield Day would be on Saturday, September 27th, from 10 to 4. We're not,
You're gonna lose.
at this stage of the game, if the new location is the Memorial Day Dale campus completely,
Yes, we are. Yeah.
then we're not even the ones to tell you you can't use it. However, if you're gonna use any of the town streets, if you're gonna need the town's cooperation for parking, if you need any kind of special, traffic management, those are things that you need to understand what was there. If you wind up looking at something that says, well, we want
We'll all
to use
still be available.
Memorial Dale, but we actually still want some of the stuff down toward the, not on Memorial Dale, but somewhere in town, you have to come back to us on that, and I think the sentiment is, we're not trying to make it harder. You might wanna, you gotta make sure it's safer, and it's up to you guys to figure out whether it's effective or not. In that, so we're not gonna comment on that. The common vittler license, I'm guessing you don't need yet, you don't need it tonight, although.
We need the Board of Health anyways.
Well, it's usually, well, that's separate.
Right, but that's the
That's
one that
an
really,
application with them directly
Yeah.
with each individual booth. Yours is the general.
Right, so I don't know,
always
I don't
ask-
know, probably, so does it matter to you if
I always ask for it at
Yeah.
this time.
it's a formality.
it's a formality, so there's no harm for us approving it? okay?
No.
And then the banner, we're same contingent approval as for the other one.
Because you
Is that all
can
right?
use the street, but you need your private poles and you have to work that out with the utility.
Oh, we have to work it out with the
Well,
utility.
somebody has to work.
I will take care of it.
Right.
The issue is insurance, right?
The issue is we don't have the proper connections between both poles. So we need to get that figured out and then work on the insurance.
We always give you a binder, you know, what is it called?
Certificate of insurance.
A certificate of insurance. That's part of the letter.
Yeah, we just need to make our insurance.
Oh,
Work
you're
with
all-
Eversource,
Oh,
yes.
you're.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, motion?
I would move that we approve the holding of Medfield Day on Saturday, September 27th, from 10 AM to 4 PM. And approve a common victualer's license and the hanging of the banner if it's approved by Eversource, or can be worked out with Eversource.
All right, second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. You got it.
Thank you much.
Okay, just don't know where you're gonna put it, but you got it.
Think of us as your first focus group.
At least if you go there and people get angry, like, hey, we at least expressed the concerns that we think people are going to have.
I agree with Eileen, but I think it's a lot nicer downtown, but. I know
It
the
is, but you know
Westwood Day
what?
seems to
It-
succeed at the high school.
It
It's not as
also,
good.
Oh, it
it
isn't,
also is
okay.
very
It
difficult.
doesn't affect the businesses, there's no businesses there.
Oh. Oh, I didn't
It's out of the
know
way, it's like having it at our high school almost.
that.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what Medway's experience has been.
And lately, it's been very difficult for me to keep measuring out between the trees and this and that. And, every year it's difficult. This would be nice to work with just an open field, a clean slate. Okay,
Okay. Thanks.
thank you much.
Thank you.
Good luck to you guys.
All right, it's one.
Thank you all.
Number two, Kathy McDonald, Director of Human Services, to request permission to use the rail trail on Sunday, May 4th, for a walk to highlight Mental Health May and the work the Coalition for Suicide Prevention is doing.
Good evening. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Metro Coalition for Suicide Prevention, which is administered by Medfield Outreach, but is financially supported by the Medfield Foundation and has been for quite some time. It's been a nice partnership since 2017. And Mental Health May, we are bringing the community a variety of initiatives. We're also partnering with many other departments like the library, Veterans Affairs, Council on Aging, et cetera. So this isn't us doing all the mental health. This is a community-based sort of, I don't know, supporting and propping up the work that many folks, Park and Rec included, are doing to support the mental health of our residents. So this particular ask is to bring together community members on May 4th using the rail trail to do a walk, which is called the Path for Hope. And what we would like to do is use the rail trail for approximately an hour. And the walk would start at 11:30. We would put our tent, just a little canopy up at the mouth of the path. with a
On
table.
Ice House Road.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but off the road, not in anyone's way, with resources for those who attend. This would be a way to honor those who we've lost to suicide, to pay respect to those who struggle with mental health struggles and ongoing suicidal ideation. Our numbers in Medfield still indicate sadly that we are a community that continues to be touched by suicide. And so this would be two asks here. One is, may we use the rail trail on May 4th for approximately an hour? There is an event that happens at the Council on Aging that same day. We've already spoken to them. That's the electric car show. We have a certain amount of the parking lot from Council on Aging that we would utilize. And we would also be basically out of there before they're really setting up for the car show. And we've spoken with Catherine White, who organizes that event. And we're hoping that our attendance will also bring more attendance to that event. So there's some reciprocity there. And the other ask is, would you allow us to put signs that we would laminate and have on stakes, you know, like those stakes that go on the ground during the month of May, that would have statistics and messages of hope that would be just adjacent to the path, not in anybody's way, that we would monitor that they're upkept, and if they start to fall down or blow away, we'd remove them. Provided they stay in good condition, we would remove them at the end of the month. So, and we would have QR codes on those signs that bring them to resources, information, et cetera. So those are it's sort of a twofold ask.
I have to bring up the unattended sign policy. It's pretty much, no exception.
The unattended,
Unattended. It's a
it's
unattended
our
sign.
flag policy.
Unattended.
Yeah.
On town property. Because unfortunately, once you make an exception, the doors are open.
Yeah, my first thought was that, my second thought was, you have a rail trail that has a purpose, and as soon as we start creating a I've got to use a bad word, I understand just to put this in context, Liz Sandman used to have a flag here for Organ Donation Month, and when we adopted this policy, one of the most painful things from my standpoint that we did was to tell her, you can't have it here anymore, because the policy we're putting up is that absolute. The other piece that I would get at is the rail trail. I've got to use a bad word, but just to make the point, I don't think it's a trail that needs billboards. You know, when somebody else comes in, oh, we ought to put a different set of signs. That's not why people are going down there. So putting signs up while you have the event going on.
Okay.
And maybe then you'd want to put the signs up, I don't even, whatever you want, but you could even just put signs up in the stretch from Ice House Road to Harding Street. So that's we did that a little bit with
I remember the lights, yeah, holiday lights.
New Year's Eve thing. So I could see doing that, but then they come back down.
Okay, that's a compromise. I understand that, for sure.
Okay. And then the only, well, like, I'll let you guys know.
No, I actually like your idea. I was thinking if I forgot about the no attended sign rule. Yeah, and even as you go across Harding, if you had somebody standing with a tall sign, not just, someone who's wants to maybe engage as people there for that purpose, for that walk, to have, whether it be statistics or whatever, but I think in general, I love the idea of what you're doing, and And especially if the car show's gonna be there, to your point, you'll see that crossover. Be a win-win.
I think it's a great idea. Thank you for doing it. I remember that Andrea
Has a coup.
Kazaku Hopgood got, community money from the hospitals. Are you guys still getting that or?
So that was sort of, you got it over a certain amount of years and then they stopped. So it was about a 3-year give. But also, as you know, Stewart in Norwood is no longer, and that was one of our biggest supporters. The other was Beth Israel Deaconess. And we're on a little bit of a pause from them because we got 3 years of funding. So
I think they
the
have
short answer is no.
I think they're like the banks, that they have a little bit of an obligation to support
Mhm.
community things. This is my recollection, but I think this is great. Thank you for doing it.
And I have to give credit to, there's been a few community coalition members that have really spearheaded this. So thank you to those folks, Kate Blood and Anna Mae O'Shea and Michelle and who am I forgetting? Kathleen Cahill and I'm sure others. So I don't want to take all the credit. There is a whole team that was heading this up. So I'm just the spokesperson tonight.
So I have two points. One's pretty nuanced, but the only issue that I see around approving the use of the rail trail, and I don't think we need to make any issues around this, but when we did that first night walk, there was a big issue around whether you needed the police to handle the road crossings. I thought that was over. People cross that road all day long. There's a crosswalk. I don't think we need to impose, and what they did with it first night was they said, oh, we'll only do the little stretch between Harding and Ice House Road, see how it works. And that's fine, but I don't think we need to do anything around
During the
the
morning, right?
public safety.
Yeah, I think it's during the daytime, that'll be.
Yeah,
not-
so that's not an issue. We can approve if we're in agreement here, we'd approve the rail trail. Just as a point of for us and for everybody, I don't think you need to get our approval for what you're doing at COA. Probably for 2 reasons. Number one, as the head of social services, you're putting on a program, and if you're tying in COA, veteran services and everybody else, that's just one of your programs that you're
Right.
doing, and you're doing it on COA property that's under the care, custody and control of COA. So I'm making this point only so that people in town and our town departments don't automatically assume anything we gotta do, we better go pass it by these 3 jokers. Cause I don't think you have to do that in that case. I'll let the town council tell me I'm wrong if I am, but so that's, you don't need our approval for that one. Ready? Good. Pete?
I would move that we permit the use of the Medfield Rail Trail on Sunday, May 4th for the walk to highlight mental health May. Path for hope.
Did you have a time on that?
11:30.
11:30.
All right.
I just make sure that the record reflects that, no one attended slides except during the event.
Yeah.
We'll be sure of that.
It's not so much for you, it's so nobody else comes down and says, well, they had signs during their.
Okay. A second?
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Thanks very much.
All right, thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Kathy.
I'm going to propose, since we're gonna be coming back at 8 o'clock, I'm going to propose that we hold the annual town meeting 2025 information, because a lot of what you're going to hear, you're gonna hear at the warrant hearing. So you may as well hear it directly from the warrant committee, and we can come back down here and
Let's jump right
discuss
down to the
it.
appointments.
So let's just
Okay,
keep
so
going.
jump down to item 7, board and committee appointments and resignations. On the docket, a vote to appoint Robert LaPlante to the Kingsbury Pond Committee. And in our packet, we saw a pretty strong endorsement from the committee to have him join.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Aye. Number 8, appoint Timothy J. Cutler as emergency plumbing inspector as requested by Dana Hinthorn, building commissioner.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That one's good. Next is vote to sign the memorandum of understanding with the Medfield Police League. Mass Cop Local 257 effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. Any comments? Any comments out?
I would just suggest that we have Christine basically give a little quick scenario summation of it.
Sure.
Yep.
So this is a 3-year contract. The current contract expires on June 30th of 2025. And we started negotiations in February and wrapped them up a few weeks ago, so it was a great negotiation with them. We showed that their salaries were below the average between the 6 and 10 year mark, so we did a restructuring of the steps. So you no longer have to wait 15 or 20 years to reach those outer steps where other towns are reaching them between the 6 and 10 year mark. So we made that change. In terms of cost of living, this is a 1.25% cost of living for officers and sergeants for 26, 27, and 28. It does reflect a 2% cost of living for the dispatchers, and we've increased the night differential. I think the last time the night differential was increased was about 15 to 20 years ago. And we are definitely much farther behind other communities. We have kept it as a straight dollar amount and not a percentage, which was what we had seen industry-wide. We have also gone to paying for holiday pay instead of time off for those additional 12 holidays. And you will now only be able to fill overtime with a sergeant for sergeant, officer for officer. So there is a cost savings for the town in that for us.
I have one question on that.
Sure.
This is strictly semantics, you know, how I dig in on editorial. stuff.
Absolutely.
The only question I had is when it talked about if it's necessary to fill an absence for the OIC position with somebody who's not of the rank, then it talks about the per shift rate for OIC will be 20% of the difference between the top step of the police officer, top step of the sergeant. When I read that, is the OIC, that rate, is that an added rate onto their base? Because as I read it, I said, well, the rate they get paid is 20% of the differential between the two steps. I said, it must be because OIC is an adder.
It's an
not the
adder.
full thing. Okay,
Yep.
that's the only question.
Yeah.
And you might just mention that for those of us that haven't read as many of these contracts as we have, OIC is officer in charge.
Officer in charge of the- Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Ready for a motion?
So moved. Focus on the memorandum of understanding with the police lead.
All right, all those, that's your job. Second.
That's all right. It's like people that put 2024 on their checks at the beginning of the year. It's okay.
Still in the middle. Once I get into that.
I know.
Yeah, once I get the higher share, then it'll be easier. for
At
people.
8 o'clock, we'll be in our right spot.
We have to
Okay.
really dance to get it.
I think that,
Second that.
okay, I was gonna say, I think that all constituted a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Okay, and we are being summoned upstairs for the warrant.
Okay, so we stopped there.
Do we need to bring our laptops? Are we gonna be on camera? We
You're not gonna be on.
No,
You're gonna be in the audience.
Have
You have
three
reserved,
seats in the front row.
Lovely.
reserved seats.
All right,
So
so
nervous as-
we should.
I'm gonna
You
leave
can
this
stay
one.
on there if you want. Brittany's handling this. We are gonna have a little.
I'm gonna have a sign up that says we're recessed to the warrant committee and to join that meeting.
I'll leave this and come back in later.
Okay, so we just leave these here.
So good. Okay, yeah, my.
All right, so.
Do you need me there?
For the warrant here?
reconvene.
Let's,
For the record, the Medfield Select Board meeting on April 1st, 2025 has reconvened down in the warrant committee meeting room. And I'm gonna take a minute for us to contemplate the thought that the warrant committee can kick the select board out of the meeting room that we normally have and cram us into their little small one.
simply out of respect, if they're trying to work the town finances, I'm okay with that.
All right.
I think we go up and take our room back.
Okay,
Just two action items, close those out. 'cause we're-
yep, okay, I think we got more than two actually, but vote, item 10, action items, vote to sign the proclamation for Noah Hutchinson, who has earned the rank of Eagle Scout.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Excellent.
Aye. That's approved. Next, vote to authorize, hold on, I have to write approved here. Vote to authorize the chair, this one might be a question coming to you, Frank, from me. Vote to authorize the chair to sign the pharmacy agreement with Metro West Medical Center. This is a contract where the town's ambulance service will be providing transport services to Metro West Medical Center. Comments, Eileen?
No, I read through this also has like a whole list of meds that they have in the ambulance, so we're good. I'm good.
I think they just refill the meds.
That's right, that's what it is, that's the mechanism to do it.
So
So moved.
okay, well, it's not, I have some questions. First off, one of the things that I noticed caught my attention is it referred to us as the company. So in other words, the contract's written more for private ambulance services that are being contracted with Metro West. So the question for you is the fact that we are not a company or a town, does it matter that?
They
the
don't care
contract-
from, I've been involved with these historically,
Okay,
they don't care, the hospital doesn't care. We just need to have some kind of agreement to replenish the ambulance.
okay. My second question is this the first contract for this scope of work? And what I mean is we've reviewed a bunch of these contracts where our ambulance service has a relationship with the hospital, so that medicine list you're talking about, we have that, and the hospital has made an agreement to us to be the supplier. And so we have an operating relationship with the hospital that allows us to replenish our meds. This one sounds like it's the hospital asking for a contract that allows them to call upon us for patient transport services, which is the whole reason I went down that path was because it was talking about us as a company. So it seemed like the scope here was a little different than what it's not an objection. I was just asking, is this actually?
I don't know, I haven't seen it, it's always been handled.
I thought it was the same thing we signed this time
I
last
don't
year.
think it is. I think the word, it's the same kind of thing. The medicine list is the same. My real question, and it's not because I'm against the contract, I was curious whether our fire department is branching into a sublobe of what we used to do. Or what we've always done, which is we get called to an emergency, we transport patients to a hospital. This sounded, the way it was worded, like Metro West could call upon us for patient transport services. Which might mean we've got a patient that's at Metro West, and we gotta get into Mass General, can you come do that? And I was just
I
curious
don't
whether.
know.
Yeah, I was just curious whether the fire department is actually deliberately changing, I'm not arguing about it, it's just I was curious.
That is not my understanding, that we'd be some sort of auxiliary
Okay,
transportation
It's
service
never
for the
been the
hospital.
case.
why not? But
What we
this,
did have previously when our primary relationship was with Norwood Hospital.
right,
And that agreement did have some provision that kind of obligated us to bring patients there.
yeah, so I'm not against the contract, I'm not asking it for that, I was trying to figure out whether the fire department was slightly shifting its focus. Or broadening its focus, that's my only interest.
That's not my understanding, but I'm happy, I can
Okay.
talk to
Yep.
acting chief.
That
King about
shouldn't stop us from approving the contract, but I would be curious to know, either that or my mind is just going. And then the other question I had on this one is did the hospital provide Dr. Betts? Or is this the Dr. Rory? We always have a doctor who's responsible for overseeing it. This one in the contract, I don't remember the name Dr. Betts. So I was just curious whether this was a physician that the hospital is, which is fine, but it's just, I don't think that, I just didn't recall that was the name of the doctor. Or that was the doctor we've had the longstanding relationship with that I'm not even sure if it came from Norwood Hospital. I think it might have been down.
My
in Marlboro or
recollection, the
something.
last one was, it was almost an independent contractor. The doctor himself,
He probably has
I don't
rights.
think he was at that hospital located there. He had another location somewhere.
But this, so the reason it caught my attention wasn't so much the name, but it's actually a female doctor. So I said, that's
But
interesting.
you
I
need,
just, it's
you
just
need
little.
that MD oversight to make this.
Oh, no, I know you need it. Again, it's a simple question. I'm saying, is this a second doctor? Or did this, because of the way it's built into the contract, it sounds like it's Metro West that said, and Dr. Betts will be the, the physician who's overseeing the operation. And I'm just curious, do we have two physicians now? Did we change physicians? It sounded like this was a doctor specified by
Maybe
Metro
we have
West.
a physician at each hospital that we have. a contract with.
We haven't up till now. It's been a relationship with a physician who I think the physician we had was one who actually did this for multiple towns, because it's the physician that's kind of making sure your staff is
They
trained,
provide
making
the
sure.
oversight for the
Yeah,
operation of the ambulance
yeah.
services.
So again, it was, this contract was worded a little bit differently, or my mind is gone. I'm not sure which. Okay, enough said. I guess, can we have a motion?
You have one.
Okay, it was made, I didn't hear that, sorry. Okay, then second.
Oh, I moved it before Gus went
Okay.
into his questions.
Got it. So I second that.
Did you want to pull back your motion or? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Number 12, request from New Life and Souls Medfield Running Club to use the parking area on Hospital Road directly across from McCarthy Park at the base of the hill leading up to the State Hospital grounds during their annual 5K, 10K on Sunday, April 27th. Any questions?
To me, that's the spot where the buses are parked. Is that
That's
what
my
they-
question. Is that the parking lot where the buses are?
Yes.
Why won't the buses be there on April 17th? Or April
Well, they're
27th?
probably, when the bus drivers pull in, there's all those spots that the bus drivers park in, so.
That's fine, okay, so they're just adding, they're just using that. That was my real question, is why, if they just said the parking lot at the front of the green, it would have been a lot easier. But when they did it across from McCarthy Park, base of the hill, it's like,
Yeah,
at first I was thinking they were talking
well,
about.
because it
the
does
area
slope
down-
up towards
Yeah,
us.
no, I know.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Next, vote to sign a letter of support with the Neponset River Watershed for the MVP Resilient Neponset Flood Model and Climate Adaptation Project.
So move.
Comments?
Nope.
I have a question. If I find it, I printed it out. Does anybody know what, so in the next to last paragraph, it says the work plan will guide collaborative work with our neighboring municipalities to not only mitigate flooding, other climate driven hazards, but also to build social resilience for our residents. What is social resilience for our residents?
I'm pulling up Gary's email now to see if there's any specifics on that.
We're not, I just don't know what it means. It might have to do with making sure we have emergency shelters for people who are being flooded out. I don't. But it says social resilience. So I don't know whether it's psychological help or if it's, I don't know what it was.
So she had said that she had sent along an additional, in addition to the letter, that there was a scope of work, but I'm not
No,
seeing the
Not
scope
in the packet.
of work. Actually, the scope of work.
There was an issue about social equity because people who tended to be from
Yeah.
lower
Yeah.
economic groups
Yeah.
were more
But they
happen
don't
to
use
be in
social.
these
Yeah.
areas and more subject to exposure. I think that was even part of their presentation the night they were
Right.
here.
It's only because if they'd used that, I would have understood what they were saying.
Right.
But social resilience, I just don't know what it means. It's, again, it's not a deal breaker on signing the letter. It's just, I don't know what we're saying or what we're supporting.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of things where they talk about community engagement. But there's nothing in here that specifically mentions social social resilience.
And while Frank looking, Chris Potts has asked a question whether the first three action items, site 7, 8, 9, were skipped, and they weren't skipped, Chris. We actually did them before we adjourned to go upstairs to the warrant committee hearing. All three were approved.
I was gonna ask the same question, so, because I went upstairs.
Oh.
Okay, yeah.
All right,
So type another thing. If that wasn't a good enough answer, Chris, come up with a follow-up question.
all right, so Pete already second, so I will,
All those in, he moved.
so I'm gonna second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye.
And Guthrie, I'm happy to send you the scope.
Yeah, well, I just wanted, it was a simple question, what's social resilience mean? So you can, whatever's easiest, if you find out what it was, we just said we're gonna support, that would be great. Approved. And finally, item 14, vote to authorize town administrator to sign the planning board application for the Parks and Recreation modular.
So.
Any
All right,
comments?
no, I think we're good with that. Second, actually, there's a new packet, so you're missing 15 and 16.
Probably ready for me and actually, so I'll keep going on it. You seconded.
Yeah.
Number 14.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Number 15, vote to authorize the town administrator to sign the Green Communities Grant application.
All right, second.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
And 16, vote to have the chair sign the letter of support for Trinity's proposed adaptive reuse of the Medfield State Hospital using state and historic tax credits.
So.
All right, second.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye. Ooh. Next, we'll jump back up to the annual town meeting now that we've,
17, 18, 19.
that's a consent agenda. There we go.
Is that?
Why don't we?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that's consent agenda.
Okay.
So we're gonna jump back up to item 3, which was to vote and assign the 2025 annual town meeting warrant articles. And. Yeah, so. Some of these, I don't know that we I'm just gonna go down the list and. That's what I do this, because the list keeps changing. Let's try, this how the business actually have.
Yeah, it has it in the back.
It has it at the back, there we go, okay, there,
I'm halfway through.
halfway through the back, okay. It's the back of the warrant. The actual
Where
warrant
it
article.
stops, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Well, it's not a fast list.
No, there's a
I've
list.
got
I want the list.
Oh, you want, oh, so he
Where
did
was the
that.
list? Well, I haven't, what's the date of that? That's for
No,
today? Where'd you get that list from?
I don't think there's a
My
summary
file.
list. I think this was just done.
So this draft warrant report does not have a list of,
I
No,
don't think
it
so.
doesn't seem
I don't
to
think
be.
yeah, can I use your list?
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, appreciate it.
And that's,
Not sure.
as you do, I'm gonna go with your numbers to make sure that
Yeah,
that we're not, because I know.
Okay, yeah, okay, you can do that. Okay, so some of these are straightforward, but let's just start. So,
there's been some last minute changes. so
Right, that's why I wanna make sure
absolutely.
that some of them were pulled off even last week.
so,
Just go,
no.
if you go.
Here's what I'm getting at. We're voting on whether to recommend approval to
Right.
what?
I
Is
would
it the-
suggest you go through here,
Yeah.
this, relying on the numbers. Because anything that you have that was prepared earlier may not be up to date.
Okay.
Well, this, I think if we just go through the packet here, that, we don't have to read through the entire thing, but if
No.
you read the beginning, it gives.
There's a summary
Yeah.
description at the beginning of each.
You can follow that one, see if it's good. All right. We're gonna work our way through the language after we get past. See stuff, all right. All right,
Beautiful.
Article 1 annual report should be straightforward. I'm assuming that we can take a vote. I don't think we need to move it. Let's just,
We'll vote to,
are we voting to approve?
yeah, just do vote to
let's
approve,
just
make it
do-
easy.
Is anybody not recommending approval of the annual town report?
It's not, it's to receive the reports from, it's a formality, it's just, it could actually be.
Right, I'm going down the warrant report. That's Article 1. We recommend approval.
Yeah. we're
All
good with
right,
that.
number 2, elected officer compensation.
Good with that.
Good with that? Yep. Okay, and then we approve that, recommend approval of that. Does anybody here, annual town report, leave alone, elected officer compensation, does anybody particularly want to be the explainer? I don't think particularly town clerk.
Oh, so I actually did talk to Christine about that and,
No, I know why. I'm just saying, does anybody want to be the select board member that is prepared to comment on that at the town meeting?
oh, I'll take ownership of that.
Okay. We got an objection for that too. Okay, so Eileen. Which number is that? That's number 2.
It's just, if you look at the present
compensation.
salary, 79, 150, warrant committee recommends 95. So just, explain why there's that increase.
Okay, personnel administration plan. Position pay schedule is set out in the warrant report, but it's not here. This is where I think probably if we're good with the budget, we're not gonna pull apart individual
Right,
elements of the plan, but.
and that's the
that.
Collins study, right? So what we're seeing as the personnel administration plan is the,
No, I think this is the thing that actually goes in the warrant. report.
oh,
This is
right,
the
sorry.
wage
That's-
schedules.
Yeah, yeah.
So that'll be the Collins things as well as police and fire, the new
That's right.
CPAs.
I don't think we have heartburn on that one.
Nope. Okay.
You're good. Okay, recommend approval there. Does anybody want to talk about that one if it comes up?
Which one?
The personnel administration plan. That's going to be a big, long list. If anybody has any questions about anything, I'm happy to take that one because I'll work with it.
Yeah.
Not because I can do it, Christine will do all the talking. So.
Well, you're chair at the meeting, so what the heck, why not?
Number 4, annual revolving fund expenditure limit authorizations.
Mandated by statute to set
Right.
limits,
Right, so we're
and the
good.
select board has authority during the year to increase them anyway, so it's really, I don't know,
Good with approving that one?
housekeeping.
Yep.
Okay,
Into that one?
approve it. I don't know that we really need to have anybody talk about that one.
No.
Number 5, cemetery perpetual care. Any heartburn there, approval?
Nope.
And I don't think we need anybody to talk about that one.
Nope.
Number. Just kind of make it like that. This, it's not like we just didn't figure it out. Deliberately said, we're not designating anybody for those unless we find out we have to. Okay.
6, local pay?
And it's housekeeping.
Yeah.
State mandates you put in
Local
to
pay, yep,
take it in, and then you have to have town meeting appropriate it.
right.
Yeah,
Good
perfect.
with approval?
Yep.
Good. Don't have to talk to that one, I don't think. Rescind the authorization for Parks and Recreation revolving account. I'm assuming we're recommending approval of this.
Yeah.
Eileen,
Yes.
it might, I can see confusion by somebody saying you're rescinding the revolving account.
It's because this
No.
statute existed
Yeah,
before the other ones.
I'm just suggesting Eileen, as a former Parks and Rec commissioner, you might be, if confusion comes up, you
It's
might
been
be the one.
superseded as the short answer.
So it's just outdated. We're all.
Right,
Yeah.
it's been replaced by a,
At last year's town meeting, we gave them and established a new revolving fund for them. That's governed by different state statutes,
Right.
and so we had to spend the old one down, and now this year's town meeting recommended that we get rid of it.
Okay,
See, I learned more there.
that,
than I knew.
I could not have given it that smoothly, and I may need your help on town
Yeah,
meeting.
Frank on there.
Eileen slash
I might put it
I like what you said. Okay, sewer enterprise fund retained earnings transfer. I think that's a straightforward. They have it and they want to transfer it.
they need it for operational.
Right, so we're recommending
Operational
approve
requirement.
there.
Yes.
And does anybody need, I don't think anybody needs to talk about.
No.
Nobody's designated for that one. Appropriation transfer to the capital stabilization fund. I think we're recommending approval, right?
Yes.
Okay. And if anybody's,
Tell you, there are none of these that I'm recommending non-approval.
yeah.
Right.
I think that's true. Okay, well, that would be faster. So I'm gonna, if it comes up, I'll be prepared to talk about that one.
Okay.
I think I had my fingers in that one when it was first brought up. Capital budget appropriation non-building, see if town vote to raise and appropriate and or transfer from available funds the sum of $2.2 million to pay the cost of capital projects described. So that's an approval.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not like I expect to talk about these. I'll put that one
Yeah,
down too.
You can.
Any you want to do, Pete, you just tell me. Transfers to municipal building capital stabilization fund. This is voting transfer money in unexpended appropriated funds and the remaining balance of the FY 2025 emergency repair funds to the municipal buildings capitalization fund. You can't put money in it unless it's approved at town meeting. So we're
Right.
doing that.
Yeah.
And I don't even think anybody needs to, I don't think any of us need to be designated for that one. Same thing, capital budget appropriation municipal buildings. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds, the sum of 1.538 million to pay the cost of municipal building capital projects. So again, this is funding. But the appropriating, this is pulling the money out of
Special
the
stabilization.
special stabilization fund to fund the items that are in the capital. So I think that one, we
Dotting the i's
approve,
and crossing the
recommending
t's.
approve, nobody designated. Their committee, if anybody's gonna do it, can do that. FY 26 operating budget. I think we're good with it,
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay? And then,
and the warrant committee, we
Would-
talked to them.
yeah. so we'll just assume the warrant committee will cover that. Okay. Let's get that one. Water and sewer enterprise fund budget. Again, I think we're recommending approval on that.
Yeah,
yep.
And I don't think any of us necessarily need to comment on this at all. I don't think
no,
any of us are that close to what they're doing, so that's fine. Adjusted tax exemption amount for clause 17D seniors. So we have a series of three
That's correct.
adjustments to senior,
No, that's-
not the tax write-off, but just exemptions. I think we're recommending approval of all three.
yes,
And does anybody
In
want
each
to?
case, the state legislation authorizes these as acceptance,
Yeah.
local acceptance.
I could see how members of the public could say, wait a minute, there's three different adjustments here. So it would be important for somebody to do that, although I would think it would probably be you or Christine that would describe it rather. I don't know that there's a select board advocacy person that we need for that.
I'm happy to do the three of them if you want us.
Yeah.
For a person.
You've been,
Yeah, so
you've
let's
been
put Pete.
approached about trying to ease the tax burden on seniors,
Right,
and this is one of the
Right.
limited things that the state
Yeah.
lets you do.
so Pete, you have that, and you want to do the tax write-off as well?
I'll do the three senior ones, yeah.
Well, that's, so the tax write-off is the tax work-off is the fourth one.
Yeah,
That's
I'll do that
already-
one
so
too.
why don't you take all four of those?
That's 3-0 on 16, 17, 18, and 19.
No,
yeah, 19's another.
Oh, sorry, no, I added in
no,
19.
19th veterans.
Yep,
right?
yep.
Yeah, so veterans is a little different.
And it's actually the Hero Act was that for.
Yeah.
Again, they authorize, the legislature authorizes you to do these.
Yeah. That's one I would probably take if, I don't expect to speak on it, but
Fine, it's
I'll
yours.
take that one if there's anything that needs to be said. Cemetery expansion construction, so we're in favor of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are we expanding, by the way?
This is the-
Down Street.
Yeah, this is the one they
Down the
presented
bridge.
probably about a year and a half ago, the select board meeting.
You know that if you go all the way back to cemetery and then if you headed to bridge, there's actually a dirt road you can use to get to bridge. That's where they were
That
gonna,
open
they're
area,
gonna put
they've
it,
actually had a designer.
right?
Yeah, what they showed
There
was
is a
nice.
design for that, isn't there?
Yeah,
What?
yeah, we
Yeah,
saw
there
that.
is,
It's like-
there
Yeah, they got a designer.
Yes.
It's kind of astonishing to see how fast that section of the cemetery is going.
Oh, yeah, it's a problem, because I mean, this is perpetual care and we're running out of space. and
Right.
everything.
Danielson Pond.
So I don't think we need anybody to talk about that one.
No.
Yes. Danielson Pond Dam, we're in favor of the 50,000 to.
Yep.
I don't think we really have a lot of choice. Pete, you wanna talk about that one?
Sure, I'll talk
Sounds good. Conservation Trust Fund, $5,000 to the Conservation Commission, so we're in favor of that.
Yep.
I mean, and Pete, I'm guessing you probably shouldn't talk about that one, but.
When he won the dam,
Huh?
the dam is under conservation's jurisdiction.
Okay, I won't talk about that one then.
Okay. Happy to talk about that. How about the- yeah, good.
Well, I mean, we don't typically talk about these to any
I
great
know, well,
extent,
no,
yeah.
but I mean, if
No,
the
no,
conversation
it's
goes,
just-
all I'm trying to do is keep. If somebody, all this is a matter of doing is if your name's on one of these, you ought to make sure you've really got it straight in your head.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, this is, the 50,000 at Danielson Pond is, it's just really to
It's
more
remediated.
preventative.
Yeah,
It's-
oh, yeah, but the point is.
Response to
conservation.
some things that need to be done.
Well, yeah, because the states keep sending us letters that we haven't acted on. Yeah,
Well, I'm happy to talk about that one.
ahead.
Good, okay.
let you do it.
Who's doing, the 50 grand then?
That's me.
Okay.
And then the Conservation Trust Fund 5K, I guess.
That's a fund that's either, it's, I think, just being replenished, added to.
Yeah, I don't think we need to, I
That's
don't
a
think we
bit-
need
that
anybody to do
The
that.
total,
Yeah. Yep. Medfield State Hospital Environmental Review Overlook and Laundry Parcel, 25,000, and we're in favor of it.
Yep.
And I'm happy to talk about that one.
Where's Bill?
Yeah, well, Bill's a better choice. Parks and Rec modular appropriation, we just approved it. Here, I think we're on board with that.
Yeah,
And Eileen, I'm just thinking of you as the Parks and Rec person here.
Yeah, I can do it.
You're
That's-
closer to Parks.
I, my gut is that, this will get talked about just because people want to know what's going on.
Yep, elementary school feasibility study funding. I think we're in favor of that.
Yep.
When Carol came, didn't she say it was a $500,000 and that, I didn't want to ask during the hearing, but I think that originally they asked for $500,000 and it's been dropped by 100,000, I guess, by the warrant committee, so
400 is what I remember.
was it? Okay, well, maybe it was, okay,
I do think, I recall that there was a I don't know at what point,
Yeah.
$500,000 figure that was thrown out, but the SBC is supportive of
okay.
it.
Anybody wanna?
I'll take this one because I actually go to their first meeting tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Probably makes sense, that's right,
Yeah.
you are the new contact. 26. Your souvenir SP reserve seat, you can use that like in theaters. Elementary school tax mitigation stabilization fund appropriation. I assume we're in favor of that.
Yeah, and I would see Steve potentially jumping on that one to talk.
Yeah, if, I think Steve, that's right, if by any chance somebody needs to talk. He and I talked about doing this, so if there's any reason to do it, we can, I'll jump to. Prior year, Article 27, prior year bills. I'm assuming they're in favor of,
majority vote there, Frank, that's a 4/5 majority.
which one, the tax mitigation?
Article 27,
Oh, that's 4/5? Okay.
yeah. It had said 4/5. I don't know when that.
It says majority right now, that's why.
I know, that's why earlier iterations had the 4/5.
Okay, I don't think we need anybody to talk about that one.
Nope.
Zoning articles, floodplain district zoning amendment.
I'm assuming the planning board's gonna do. all
Yeah,
this.
Yeah, This is mandated by FEMA.
Yeah,
Okay,
so it's planning board. Article 10, floodplain district. This was the, I guess the change to the map. Also same
This is
thing,
all
we
the ones
approve
with
it,
big umbrellas.
planning board,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. And. Whoops, I forgot, get back to it.
the next one would
Free cash.
be.
29,
So the next one is 29 accessory dwelling unit,
Yeah.
it's at the top. Keep going, look, it might be on the back side of the page. Right there. No,
it is on the back side.
no, the 300, so you're looking for 310-14.
Right at the top.
Okay. I'm just going the wrong direction here. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Approval, I assume also.
Yeah.
I don't see us commenting on
I
them.
have
this
a
is-
quibble with them because they basically have, the way they've written it, they've ruled out, they require ownership, so
They can't,
No,
They
they
can't.
do not,
Yeah.
they cannot.
they can't.
well, you have to transfer the ADU with.
Oh, yeah, you can't,
So you
can't
can't, you
subdivide.
can't turn it into a condo, for
Right,
instance, and
correct.
separate the ownership.
right.
I think that would make more sense myself.
I don't, that effectively undercuts all zoning.
Well,
That's
it's not just
a
that, we don't-
mistake, that's a mistake.
We're
the town-
very limited what we could do here.
Right.
Because it was
Yeah.
passed.
And the attorney, this has already been involved in the AG's office to compare.
If we did that, we'd be repeating the same mistake that the state made back in the 1980s when they allowed multifamily tenements to be condoized.
Right,
And now the state's saying, we don't have enough apartments, like, 'cause you got rid of them all. So,
well, no, you missed something. They imposed rent control,
yeah, well,
so people
yeah.
couldn't get a fair return on their
Right.
investment,
Yeah.
and then that forced them into going.
well, some people, the ones that I was aware of, they were jumping into it because it's just, you get more money that way. But, yeah, okay,
That's what-
free cash, I've
We are good with
everything
that,
that. So that's, we don't need anybody there.
and that'd be
That's
that.
it. Okay, that's it.
All right, we're good?
Does anybody, do either of you need to revisit any of this?
No.
Okay. I have this. Next is to vote and sign the 2025 annual town meeting warrant.
Okay. Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great, that's done. Next is vote to accept the FY 26 operating and capital budget. Again, I don't think, I certainly haven't gone through this thing in great detail. I'm willing to
I
go
trust the
with a
people that I-
balanced budget that the warrant committee produced to say, no, this is a good budget for us to go with.
Bingo.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
then, motion,
so move.
All right, second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Aye. And then finally, vote to confirm the FY 25 and FY 26 budgets are in compliance with the town's financial management policies and objectives.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So did we actually vote number 3, the assignment of the? warrant
Well,
articles?
we kind of,
We didn't.
well, I'm happy to do it. So basically that discussion we just had where we identified where we came out on all of them, we recommended
Yeah,
approval of all of
we've
them.
got names and.
And that's the only part, I don't think we need to vote on who we assigned. I
Okay.
think we only need to vote
No, she wanted it to put in the warrant report. Selection.
that we recommend approval. Yeah,
All
so
right,
so-
I move that we,
that we basically be recommend approval for all
recommend
articles.
approval of all articles,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Doing okay there, Frank?
We are all good.
Drives me crazy, Mark, that we have to, an article here for accepting $119 of donations to the Council on Aging. I mean, that's just a waste of time.
Yeah, we'll do
You
it.
know, the irony is, you don't have, the statute is you don't have to accept it, they could accept it themselves, but they can't spend it without you approving the appropriation, so.
All
Yeah, I
right.
got you.
All right, we have a consent calendar and there are 3 items on it. Let me make sure there's 3 items.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
Yeah, this is the new one.
I'll keep
Okay.
going, Mr. Mayor.
First one is request from Medfield Energy Committee to post signs advertising the electric car show at the usual locations from April 20th to May 4th. Second is request from the Garden Club to post signs advertising the spring plant sale at the usual locations from April 19th to May 3rd. And the third is a request from Kathleen Darian to post signs advertising the ferry walk at the usual locations from April 2nd through April 13th. Do I have a motion to
So
approve the
moved.
consent agenda?
All right, second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
And the ferry walk's not up at the State Hospital this year,
No,
right?
it's at the Hinckley Park.
Right.
Hinkley Park, okay, good.
Yeah. Yep. And the park.
That's just for anyone watching, seeing this, that if they have enjoyed it at the State Hospital.
Right.
Relocation this year.
Last item, item number 20, accept $119 in various donations for the use by the Council on Aging.
So moved.
All right,
All those
second.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, done. Meeting minutes.
I am all caught up.
I'm all caught up.
Well, I am caught up, but I have comments on the meeting.
Well, I made a couple of comments, I fed them into, to Brittany, some of them were just, again, Murphy, and then some was just, giving a little more. Because as I've said this every time, I watch YouTube, so a couple of them I just put on closed caption to put a little more detail in.
So we had two from the last meeting. We only approved one.
Yes, we only approved the 25th.
I haven't seen the 25th with the terms. So the issue on the 25th that I had was the appointment terms were only talking about 2024, which was the end or the beginning of the new appointment. They didn't go. I tried clicking on the link that we had before, and what came up was an uncorrected version.
Ah, okay,
So I have not seen a corrected version of June 25th.
okay,
To see whether those terms were corrected and whether paragraph 10 was edited. I tried, I couldn't see an updated
Okay.
version. September 10th, which was also from the last meeting, I'm okay with it. I thought, and again, I couldn't find the September 10th meeting minutes to pull them back up again. The only issue I had there, I was fine with those with as edited, but I wrote to myself, I should probably comment on the edits I made on page 3 of those minutes. So when we went and checked with the AG about being able to kind of do this parallel processing,
mhm,
the AG says, yes, if it's just wordsmithing, that's fine. This was just wordsmithing, but the thing was, it was extensive enough wordsmithing that I don't even remember who. I'm not sure even, I don't at this point even remember what it was that was the topic, but I changed enough of it strictly with editing in mind that I wanted you to see it, to make sure you agreed that all I was doing was editing, and it was a big enough deal.
yeah,
So that was September 10th.
I saw
We
that.
haven't touched that.
I'm
And
sorry, which one did you make a lot of edits to?
yeah, it wasn't a lot. It was on page 3 of the September 10th edit. September 10th minutes, meeting minutes. My intent was to make editorial changes, but the amount of the editorial change was enough that I said, rather than just have you, trust that I corrected spelling and didn't do anything else, I actually worded it a certain way. And I thought you both should take a look at that and
Okay,
make sure
I'll take a
that
look.
it's okay. And then September 17th, which is the most recent one, I think that's fine. I had very minor edits. The only comment I had on that one is that meeting minutes talked about the fact that the select board has an outstanding task to designate off-leash areas behind Wheelock. So we kind of said we needed to do it. And, it just,
Got a little distracted with.
yeah, I get
something,
distracted. Now the meeting minutes reminded me that that's something that should be on our agenda
Okay,
at some point in the foreseeable future, while we're all still in office.
so June 25th, we shouldn't approve that, because I'm on here right now, and that doesn't reflect your
Yeah.
changes, so that's as much as.
Okay.
We want to, that's what needs to be done. You're saying the 10th, what did you?
The 10th, the only thing was I couldn't find it. I'm not sure, Frank, it might have been when Brittany was out and I went through all your emails, I went through all her emails.
I'm jumping
I
in right
couldn't
now.
find it.
So I'm in here
Sorry.
right now, and I can see. I think I'm the anonymous person in here.
Are you sure? Yeah, most of the time I'm the anonymous one.
Well, sometimes I forget to sign in. This one is anonymous, but this one's not me.
I can recirculate.
So that's probably, it's
Okay.
it was page 3. It was not my intent to substantively change what the draft said, but I
Oh.
thought what the draft said needed to be.
Is it the West 27?
I think it might have been.
Is
yeah.
this you? Then
Uh,
select
I
board,
think that's probably,
To run
it.
a
And that's partly one of the reasons Pete, yeah, I think that's the one, yep.
okay. Yeah, I didn't do
And
that.
Pete, the reason I did that was because that was one where we were not in smooth sync through that whole discussion, so I edited it. Didn't intend to really change.
Which date are you on now?
September 10th, page 3 of
Okay, yeah,
September.
I'll take a look at
Yeah,
that
take a
one. You
look at
said
that.
take a look at that
So
one.
I'm gonna suggest we defer June 25th and September 10th, and I'm at least prepared to recommend or to approve the September 17th meeting minutes.
Okay,
So move.
second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
All right, so I
that
don't
was
want the whole
approved.
discussion, just the 17th got approved.
Just the 17th.
Okay.
And we've got homework for the other two, okay.
Yeah, and Frank, the issue there really, one of them is simply getting access. If Pete has to look at September 10th, you saw it, you have it for sure. I think you went on our meeting minutes. Is it posted? Is that where you get? How did you find it when I didn't? I was only trying to find.
Cause I just do a sort by Brittany and I can see like the email that I used for this one,
Okay.
I always go through the YouTubes, I couldn't find the YouTubes for one of them, so then she sent it to me. Cause it was the
Okay.
one that we had the owl instead of YouTube,
Okay, Yeah.
but then below were all the links, so on this one right here, I have August 20th, June 25th, September 10th.
okay. So that one, I'm good with, as long as the two of you are good with the mischief that I did on page 3. And then June 25th, we haven't seen the updated.
Yeah, that isn't updated, I was just on.
If I remember right, Brittany, I think in one of her recent emails said, the June 25th, we're still working on. So-
Yes, she made a comment.
So I think it
Still
just,
updated.
it got carried on the agenda without necessarily.
So on June 25th, it's too early to go look at it, is that what
I
you're
think it's
saying?
too, yeah,
Okay, so-
we can't find anything.
Because the dates should reflect what the new terms are, not the terms that are being.
Right.
So it's just I'll look at the September 10 one, that's the only
Yeah.
one that I need to look at the moment. then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so the next item is the assistant town administrator updates.
So I'll keep it very brief. We had obviously our townwide elections yesterday.
Yeah.
So we thank Mary and Tracy and the rest of the town clerk and election staff for handling a turnout of 823 people.
Nice.
And then just as a reminder, town meeting is on May 5th. The signs are up around town hall. We'll have the big board going outside soon.
Did the charter amendment pass for the moderators?
I believe-
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Easily.
610 to 132 with 81 blanks, in case you're wondering.
The black's cracked me up.
Yeah. But that's all I have.
Let's see, next meeting dates are 2 weeks from today, April 15th. There's a placeholder 2 weeks after that for April 29th, if there was any late breaking stuff.
But we just said we are going to do the 29th. Christine, we just, in
Oh,
our,
that's right.
in our
too, yeah,
first
that's
segment of
right.
this
Not a
meeting
place- Yeah,
tonight.
that's right. You're correct. That was for Trinity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So no longer a placeholder, it is a meeting.
But maybe it's a short meeting, I don't know. And then May 5th is the annual meeting, and we normally always
Meet an
have a
hour
meeting
before, yeah.
an hour before. We're not carrying it as it's not on this list, it's not showing up as a select board meeting before the town meeting, but I'm assuming we're gonna do that.
With some wiggle room.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, select board member reports.
All right, well, I do appreciate all the people that stepped up yesterday to support Marion, for the town elections. And I appreciate everyone voting for me and those that voted for Danny Ainge, God bless them. What's that? I guess it was somebody who did the Danny all the way down.
He's trying to build a Parks and Rec facility.
But it was very nice. I did hear from Josh Tarski this afternoon. I heard from Marcus Vaughn this evening. I'm so excited for my next 3 years. Little different sitting in the seat tonight versus 3 years
You're gonna
ago.
enjoy this year. It's so great. You just have to-
I have the flow down
Right,
there
you
now.
get to talk first, all you have to say is second.
I know.
It's just great.
I look at you and I'm like, oh, I'm so used to having read all that beforehand. And then I've got an affordable housing trust meeting Thursday night. I'll sit in the COMCON meeting as well, just to kind of follow what's happening with Montrose because they've been calling me on it, so I just want to stay in track to make sure things stay. I think it's going along well. I think they cleared a lot of hurdles, and I believe Thursday night is really more of kind of setting the conditions before they move forward, so it's all good there. To the best of my knowledge. And then what is my one other meeting that the Affordable Housing Trust, and then then we have the Eagle Scout ceremony early May. We've got the baseball parade coming up again.
Just remind me, I skipped over something. Well, keep going.
Okay.
I may have to go back. I think there's some items we skipped over.
Okay.
We're gonna go back.
Okay, and then I think other than that, again, just thank you for everyone for all the support and on we go.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Pete?
The Medfield Foundation Legacy Fund Community Board met and chose 5 grant applications to put through to the pitch it. These people are competing for grants from the Legacy Fund, which is, I think it's around 40,000 this year.
Nice.
So it's been in the past. The Legacy Fund has about 850,000. in the bank and a 4% spend rate is a good spend rate. So I guess we're granting a little bit more than our spend rate, unfortunately. Thank you to the town for building up that 850,000. The more people donate to the legacy fund, the more grants the legacy fund can make, and the more good things in Medfield get supported. It's very impressive hearing these grant applications. It's not big money, like the state or the federal government can take for people, but it makes a big difference in these entities. Got office hours on Friday. Anybody wants to come and talk? I've already had 2 people that have expressed interest in coming. This coming Friday, 9 to 10 at the center. There was someone who raised an issue about my not recusing myself in a public meeting from, and then sent a follow-up email to the whole board and Christine about that issue, questioning my not recusing myself from discussions related to the basketball facility. And so I asked first town council about it, and then on his advice, asked the State Ethics Commission, and the State Ethics Commission this week told me that I didn't have an issue, that what I did was fine. So that's it.
Don't have much to report. I can say that I got through all of the candidate videos and read all the statements of the candidates before the election. Took a while, but I did that. And also just as I think you guys get copied on this, but I realized today I got 2 emails from high school students that are working on their, I never realized the high school has a requirement for students to do a civic action project.
Oh,
And so what happened was I got one, I think day before yesterday, they were working on trying to get streetlights at the South Street Route 27 intersection. And I gave a fairly lengthy reply to that one. Probably the most constructive piece of advice was to go see Mo to take a look at the study that was done previously. But that I haven't heard back from them, so perhaps mine was more comprehensive than they had bargained for. But then as I was looking at that, I saw, and I said, oh yeah, there's that civic action project, and I noticed that it has a different name at the top, and I had totally, if you're out there listening, I totally just lost track of your email asking for information about the skateboard park. So I owe one team of high school students my thoughts about skateboard park at Metacomet. And I did get back to the first one really quickly, so I just thought it was kind of cool. You know, I think it's cool anytime a town has ways to encourage young people who are in school to experience the town government. Not at a time that they have a job to do there, but because they get to see it. I know my oldest son probably met Christine before I did. Because he was through school, wound up doing some stuff and was working with her way before I ever met Christine. So I knew that, knew her name, but that's a early experience in his life was meeting Christine here in the town hall, talk about certain things. So
we will be hosting a team of high school seniors in the coming weeks, the lead up to town meeting. A number of departments will be working with them, so we're looking forward to having them.
Okay.
Yeah,
And we're still looking at interns for the summer?
yes,
Okay.
I think we have at least one on board.
Okay.
We're still receiving applications.
Okay.
I had shared some thoughts with the high school kids about the traffic lights at 27 and South as well. That was nice to see them reaching out.
So the one item I thought I forgot, but then I looked at my notes and I wrote it down as having been approved, so it might have been the excitement of going up to the warrant committee hearing that caused me to forget. Did we vote to sign the proclamation for Noah Hutchinson? Who's running for academic
Yeah,
senate?
we did.
Somehow or another, that was a
That
total
was the
blank.
first thing you took up when you came back
That's-
downstairs.
Okay, I did do it. Okay, I somehow or another didn't process. So, okay, then I didn't leave anything out.
And Chris Potts is just letting you know, you can send the student that you got, I didn't see the skateboard request
Yeah.
from email, you can send them her way, because
Oh,
she was
okay.
involved with that.
Great,
project.
thank you, Chris. This is great. This is the interactive discussion. You're the only citizen that is in the room right now, Chris, so it's really good to.
Well, I think Bill's here.
Oh, is Bill?
Bill-
Bill is here. No, Bill is here. Yeah, you're right.
I've got to follow up
Okay.
that email with the students. I started, I
I
got
think-
distracted and that's the.
And Marion's here.
Marion's
Marion's
on
here
there
too.
as well.
Marion's here. Hey, Marion. Glad you
You
stayed.
tap on the wall,
tuned
so
in.
tapping down.
That's right.
Thank you
She
again,
was-
Marion.
I think she was just waiting for the compliment of how well she ran the elections.
Absolutely.
As
yesterday,
always.
so, Okay,
Absolutely. That's in the
Nicely
business.
done.
that should do it. Anything else?
No, other than thanks everyone for supporting Marion and team for yesterday. It's a long day,
Mhm.
a very long day.
Move to adjourn.
All right, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay. Aye. Approved.